everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Heart Talks. Today, we have the honor of hosting a distinguished speaker who has been recognized as the first women cybercrime investigator of India by our own former president, Sri Ramnath Kovind. Her groundbreaking work has not only earned her accolades such as the South Indian Women Achievers Award 2019, but has also placed her as one of the forefront initiative aimers at cybersecurity awareness across the nation. We have with us today Dr. Dhanya Menon. So,
Thank you.
I know that cybercrime and cybersecurity is a very, very important topic in today's digital world. But I would start by asking you, how would you describe the term cyber safety?
Cyber safety for me is ultimately human safety. Because for now, or since about last 10 to 15 years onwards, we cannot think of survival without the digital space. So if we cannot think of a survival without digital space, safety on digital space is as important as safety on the terrestrial platform.
Right.
So when we're talking about human safety in totality, cyber safety is the most important aspect that everybody needs to talk about today. So cyber safety, if you want to expand the term or understand the terminology called cyber safety, it is all about being safe on the space of cyber, which means you are equivalent to the data that you carry with you, that you transact with, or the data that you will relate with.
Yeah.
So the safety of the data is your safety.
Yeah.
So the asset becomes data, which means you also become data in one way.
That's such a fascinating way to think about it. Especially because I know that even we would be posting this particular episode on Spotify, we'll be posting on YouTube. And to think about the fact that these two are platforms where people very actively share their data, like a podcast being one such example, which, exposes so much about our own lives. And to think about the fact that in the internet, we are reduced completely to what, the data we put out there is. That is so fascinating to think about. And I would say that, of course, as the newer generation, all of us are very active on social media. Even while being in a boarding school, the second we go out in our breaks, all of us have social medias. So, what advice would you give to this younger generation when, in terms of social media usage and just full on cyber safety?
Understand why the social media is there primarily. Social media is a platform for advertising, for connecting, for reaching out. It doesn't ensure privacy.
Yeah.
Nothing that can be advertised can be private. Everything that is advertised is meant to be public.
And of course, especially since it's a social media platform, I think the very first word in itself.
No, even if you're talking about the pure sense of internet, it is supposed to be a platform for broadcasting and reaching out, connecting.
Yeah.
So anything that reaches out or goes out cannot be private. So everything about your private life has to be private, and everything that you're ready to socialize about, let other people know about, can be put out on the internet for advertisement.
Of course.
This clear distinction is something which the younger generation needs to understand. How much or what part of their life is personal and private, and what is it that they can part information with. So the questions like what information or what data, why the data, what are the implications of spreading this data, how much of this data at what time is every individual ready to part with. These are the questions every child is to be taught to ask before they set out on the cyberspace.
No, of course. And to be able to relate this with the fact that there are certain age limits to social media platforms also makes so much sense. Because the kind of questions you mentioned, the kind of thought processes that goes into before making a post to consider whether this is ethical or not ethical, I don't think anyone younger than the age of 13 or 14 should have or would have.
No, they are not expected to have because they're children.
Exactly.
Children are not expected to be responsible.
Of
The
course.
moment a human being is responsible, you become an adult. So children are not expected to be responsible. So why associate responsibility with them? Why hand over responsibility with them? So it's like, like I keep telling in few of my sessions, it's like handing over a loaded gun, handing over a really live weapon to a child and asking them to behave responsibly. They do not even know what this particular weapon is for. What is the implication of this particular loaded gun if it is fired or how it is fired?
Of course.
So when the child is not ready to know about these details, why hand over these things to them?
Exactly. It's not the right time and it's not the right decision to do so too. Makes sense. And, I would just like to ask you, because we talked about children many a times not being able to recognize the issues related to them posting. This is something I remember talking with you about, yesterday. Many a times I've also noticed with, this whole content creation going viral on Instagram, that a lot of parents, a lot of responsible and mature adults end up posting a lot of life details about their young
Yes,
children.
yes. Which is again very risky because you're passing out information, schedule of your child, your likes and dislikes of the child, where you're putting this least responsible human being vulnerable and open to the large society. So I don't think it is wise to let out anything. See, what I like is my priority, is my personal thing. So before the child can decide what is personal information about the child, who am I, irrespective of being a parent to the child, who am I to decide that I can send that out in the open for other people to know? No, I'm nobody to do that. The child should grow up, should decide what is personal to me, what is not personal to me, what is it that I can share, etc. In spite of being a parent, you cannot be in a situation where you can decide what is going to be good or bad for the child tomorrow.
Exactly.
Because the data that is out in the internet is not just for today. It is there, it is going to last for ages together. So the implication will be for the child even after ages together. Like, for example, you have a very cute little picture of your child posted on the internet, which is completely, without any clothes. As long as a child is under one, even that nudity looks very kind of cute and very nice.
Yeah.
But as a child grows up, even that becomes a point of embarrassment for a child. You and I mean, of course, you are past that age. So you would have also gone through a phase where such photographs that are there in your with your parents are embarrassing to you.
Of course.
It is only at a later state in life that you start to accept, oh, that is when I was very young. It is okay. I was cute myself. But why put your child through that embarrassment during that phase when they're not ready to take that information?
Of course.
So I don't think it is really appropriate to put out vulnerable things, even if it is about your child. And the risk that you pose for the child when such information is out by and large for other perpetrators to act on is very, very huge. It could be used for child abduction, manipulating the child, reaching out to the child, and even befriending the child when the child is not ready to be a friend with some other adult.
Of course. And honestly, the amount of cases which we have read about every single day of child abduction, of kidnapping, and we find out all of this and later tied down to maybe their parents' social media accounts, or their own social media accounts.
Because see, when you see a parent do that, the child was only imitating the parent. The parent posts one picture, the child will post 10 pictures. And once you're on the internet, you're forever on the internet. There's no deletion.
Yeah, screen grabbing is such a real issue.
Absolutely. So there's no way you can delete the whole thing, your presence on the internet, and just say, okay, now I'm no more because I don't want to be on the internet. Once on the internet, you're forever on the internet.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to the general viewer about being able to identify an internet scam, or some malicious document being passed around?
See, the first thing about any kind of a scam working out is that any kind of a communication that starts off will not be or will not sound or read like the original person. The style of the language, the grammar used, everything will be different. Because my way of communicating to my friend will be different, to a client will be different, to my youngsters will be different, my family will be different. But they will all carry some point of signature which I own, which is related to me.
Your own
all my
tone, your own
things
style.
and there will be an urgency which says send now, press now, click on the link now, share now. So the urgency is another red flag. There is nothing that urgent in life.
Of course. I mean, I'm sure everything is, manageable in there.
Everything. So when they say now, immediately understand, yes, it's a red flag.
And how do you think one should react in a situation where they know that, okay, right now I have been, sent a text which could, possibly have something wrong happen with
You have sent or you have received?
received.
Okay, when you have received any text which could be damaging, one thing is do not delete it.
Okay.
Save evidences for future.
Hmm.
Either take a screenshot of it, or if it's on some other thing, save the URL for later reference. Then, if it's a call or a message, save the number. Do not delete such things, and report such events.
Hmm.
Now, reporting the event doesn't mean you're going to get a resolution to it. Reporting just means that you are helping the society for a future. Like you get a crime call from somewhere where there is a feature where you can report the number, block the number, and report the number.
Yeah.
That is enough from your side, because a couple of reports on a particular number, the number will be marked as a spam call number.
Correct.
And it will also show when a call is generated from the number from then on that it is a spam number. So it will save some people. It doesn't mean that you report this number, you get an FIR filed immediately. Even when there is no criminal damage happening, you want to go through the entire exercise of it. It need not happen that way. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen that way, but it need not happen that way, because there's a lot of infrastructure investment in forensic analysis and even in investigations.
So I would now ask you, okay, this is about, when you have something being sent to you. But how do we, as users of the internet and, social media users, ensure that we are not accidentally involved in, maybe forwarding something malicious or forwarding something wrong?
One thing is that do not forward anything that doesn't logically agree with you. And in case in doubt, verify. Suppose you get a message saying that there's a free kidney transplant happening at this so-and-so hospital. Call that number, because every hospital will have a landline number.
Yeah.
But most of these forward messages will have only a mobile number. Why? You can always use Google for the right reasons, right? Google up the hospital, find the number, give a call, and find out if they're actually having an exercise like that or a camp like that which says a kidney transplant or a cardiac surgery or blood donation camp or whatever.
Yeah.
We think we are being generous. But if you want to be generous, let's go out and take that effort to be generous.
To be informed, to...
Even to be generous, you have to feel the pinch of it. See, I have 10 rupees. I want to be generous. I want to give you 2. I have to compromise that 2 rupees from the 10 rupees that I have. Now, here what is happening is that something comes free to you, you're just forwarding it. So you're not feeling the pinch of it. So generosity comes when you actually have a pinch for it. So go about it, verify it, and then go forwarding the messages. So anything that doesn't apply to your logical brain, don't forward. Anything that doesn't you have not verified with, don't forward. And confirm that the news is accurate and right.
Of
And
course.
also, it may be right. The particular information may be right, but it may have been presented in such a form that it actually goes against the sovereignty or integrity of the nation or the society. Don't do it. Because see, we are pledged towards the integrity and sovereignty of our country.
Yeah.
So we can't go against it. So maybe the fact is true. I mean, the point is true. The news is right to the dot, but the presentation also matters. Whether it is going to trigger something, whether it can be presented as in a different way without harming anybody, without hurting anybody. So even that is very important.
Of course. So thank you so much for that response. And I would just, end by asking you one final thing. This is something which I heard you mention earlier this morning, which I believe our audience would really benefit from knowing. You mentioned how according to different legislations around the world, every server, every social media provider has to keep all the information being posted over there for 16 years.
Yes.
So that means, just confirming with you, that means that if one were to post something on Instagram or if one were to post something on YouTube and then later delete that, it could still be produced in a legal framework for 16 years.
Depending on the jurisdiction, it can be. Depending on the jurisdiction. Like I told you in the morning, the legal reproduction of the evidence can be denied by certain jurisdiction if it has been saved for a longer period. But yes, there are certain nations which ask you to save it for 16 years. So they have it for 16 years.
And that is something we really should consider as once again digital users.
That's why it's that once on a forever on internet. There's no permanent.
Those are very real words.
And there's no authenticity on internet. See, there's no authority on internet which says this is right, that is wrong. I can start a website and I can start posting something on nuclear science where I have no exposure on that. And probably children who are doing certain kinds of projects will just Google up and come to my website, copy the content that I put in, which is utter nonsense, and submit it as their project also.
Think about the fact that you can just create a Wikipedia account and edit the page.
Yeah. Why not?
100%.
You don't even need a Wikipedia page. See, because once I go on to Google and search a particular keyword, there are millions of sites that will come down which relates to that keyword. Out of which, how many sites that gives you right information?
Of course.
There's no authenticity.
And this brings us back to the entire point of actually being informed of the fact that everything you see on the internet is not true and not going to be true.
Yes.
So I believe that, once again, as users, it's up to us to be aware of the way we apply the information we are receiving from the internet.
Absolutely. And it is a responsibility of every individual to ensure that they use the space safely, and they confirm that the space will be handed over to the next generation in a safe domain too.
So that was all from me. Thank you so much for joining us on Tar Talks today. And I'm sure our audience got to know so much about cyber safety the way I did. So thank you so much, and visit Tar Talks whenever you can.